What is Ascension? Well, the first time I heard of it was back in when I was a little kid. I was probably about 10 years old. I was at Mass, and the priest was talking about Elijah's ascension into heaven. And I got home from church, and I asked my dad, is that for real? Is that possible? I remember this just like it was yesterday. My dad was getting ready, he got back from church. He's going to take a nap, and I'm standing over him while he's, trying to take a nap. I'm like, is that possible? I mean, is that for real? And my dad's like, he's a good Catholic. He goes, yes. And I'm like, did anybody else ever ascend? And he's going, well, yeah. You remember Jesus? He ascended after he was crucified and stuff. And then he told me about a couple saints. I can't remember what the saints are offhand right now, but there's a couple saints that ascended. And then since then, the the whole ascension stuff led me to the east. And Livia Cohn, she's used to be a Boston University professor. She studies Taoism, and she wrote a book that's really a commentary on Sitting in Oblivion is the title of the book. Amazing book. Now the back of the book is like this thick, and that's the actual text that she translates. The front of the book is like 3 times as long. It contains a, a treasure trove, man, a treasure trove of information on Taoism and Ascension in particular. And it talks about a few Taoist mystics, Taoist sages that, got to the old age and ascended, right before their disciples. They were, they just vanished. One was underneath a tree, and his disciples were watching, and on 1 second he's there, 1 second he's gone, and the next one he's gone. And another one, I guess there was they heard some kind of like heavenly music, and kind of a misty stuff was going on, and poof, gone, just like the other one. And there's a lot of stories about, in every culture, every religion's got these people who ascend. And ascension itself it's a really high spiritual state. Now, evolution itself is for real. I mean, we gotta understand evolution is real, and that maybe that the whole ascension process is the natural state of being for a human to go through. I mean, if a person can do it, then it's got to be related to evolution in some way. So I'm thinking that maybe it's not supernatural at all. Maybe it's the natural tendency to what humans are supposed to do. Maybe primitive times we lived way differently than we do now, and ascension was more of a regular occurrence. But what ascension really is, from like a Taoist perspective, it would be you've developed your mind to the point of you've got your one-pointed concentration to its utmost limit, which is you've seen this flaming swastika at the end of the tunnel, and that's the ultimate experience of, I guess, of the Tao of God, if you want to put it that way, but only for the one-pointed concentration. Now, there's the other kind of meditation with Vipassana, which is the more open-minded meditation, the peaceful meditation of not emptiness, and you have to rise to its heights also, which take a lot longer. And the first real spiritual awakening that happens with that is the union with the God, the union with the universe, union with Tao, where you see everything is made out of crystals and fire, and you are one with the universe, and you see that all beings flow from the same source. You see your source, that's giving you life energy, is the exact same source that gives energy to these trees, to bugs, to the spiders that freak out. Everything flows from everything's life flows from the same source. And that's like the ultimate um, form realm, anyway, of experience of Vipassana or emptiness meditation. And there's higher realms to it. That blows you away when you have it, but then there's higher experiences of it too. And the body, once you get to the highest realms of that, then the body, you got to talk about it, and it has to go through transformations. Now the Taoists, once again, they got a pretty good explanations about this. You got 4 different elements in the body. Your bones represent the earth element, and your blood represents the water element, and that these things all have to transform. And the hardest one to transform is your bones, into chi is what you're trying to transform them into void, nothingness and stuff. And the major confirmatory sign, I guess it's called, in Taoism, is that your blood will turn white. Now, this doesn't happen until you're in your 60s. If you look at the mystics, they have the blowout one with the universe. You know, everything's flowing from the same source. The whole world is crystal and fire. They have this experience when they're like 27, 28, 29, 30. That brief period. Now, I've never read anybody who's had it after that. So, do people? I don't know. Maybe it's just a fluke that the people they got records of all happened at that short window of opportunity. The same thing with Ascension. I've really never read any people who've ascended. If you're not familiar with the Bible or Taoist stuff, you're probably familiar with popular culture, like Yoda. You know, when Yoda dies and he just kind of fades away and he disappears. Or Obi-Wan Kenobi when he gets cut down by Darth Vader. I hate bringing Star Wars into it, but you know, popular culture's got it too. So that's Ascension. They mystically became one with the universe. They didn't leave any physical traces behind. So the blood turns white, and this doesn't happen until probably your late 50s, early 60s. St. Paul got his head cut off in his 60s and had the white blood. The second patriarch, same deal, 60s, white blood. The people who ascend are usually in their 80s. So that's pretty much how long it takes. Or, you know, once you get the white blood, probably, you know, your blood, your body is pure yang, and you're either physically immortal, which probably you're not physically immortal. What it is you just go back to the biblical age limits, and you're just probably going to live 400 or 500 years. You know, that's probably just the natural human lifespan if they're in a perfect kind of environment, or if you work really hard at meditation and, you know, the physical practices of Taoism. But when you get the 80, you know, if you die a natural death, you will fade away, just like, you know, just like Yoda or those Taoist masters. You know, your natural death is when it happens. And there's a few references of people who've had their heads cut off. Now, like St. Paul got his head cut off, second patriarch of Zen Buddhism in China, got his head cut off, and they bled white, and they didn't ascend. So that leads me to believe that the white blood is probably just the first part of it. Your body is just getting to the yang, and you've still got, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 more years of development to go. And it's, you know, at that point, it's probably pretty natural. Just like in the beginning, the really only thing you really got to practice in the beginning is emptiness meditation, the Vipassana. If you do that, everything takes care of itself. You will naturally, your sex drive naturally goes down. You conserve your Qing, you know, your in the, you know, Taoist called the Jing, the sperm, seminal fluid, that kind of stuff, and it transforms into Qi, and then that transforms into Shen. Well, all this stuff will naturally happen if all you do is practice emptiness meditation. And there's a reason why monks, and why aren't these monks who spend their entire lives in a Catholic monastery, they're not having sex, they've got a really restricted diet, you know, and they're doing the Vipassana meditation, because they do. I mean, the Catholic monks, Buddhist monks are doing the exact same meditation. Same thing with Buddhist monks. Why aren't all these guys ascending? And it's got to do with the beginning stages, I believe, is that you really need to be honest with yourself, and you really need to take responsibility for yourself. Most of the people who go into the monasteries, they're not being honest with themselves, and they're not being fully responsible for themselves. You know, they've got a really high opinion of themselves. They want to keep that high opinion of themselves. So if they start to flub up and they're making mistakes and stuff with their spiritual practice, they're not going to admit it to themselves. And they're going to be telling themselves and other people that, you know, they want union with God. They want ascension. They want, you know, they want the oneness with Tao. They want, you know, Buddhahood. And they're not even getting close, but they believe it themselves, and they're telling other people. It's just the personal honesty. You got to have that intellectual honesty, and you got to have personal responsibility. Those are like the two most important characteristics that you got to have right in the beginning of your spiritual journey, or you're just going to spend your whole life wasting it. You know, you're not going to hit any of the major confirmatory signs, and you're going to be disparaging anybody who does as being, lying, or they're doing it wrong. Oh, that person developed supernatural powers. Oh, their supernatural powers don't mean anything because anybody can develop supernatural powers. Really? Have you seen anybody with supernatural powers lately? No. If you've got supernatural powers, you've developed something good with your meditation, and it's so freaking rare. Just like to see the whole world, the whole universe is made out of that crystalline living fire. That is so rare. And each stage you go up, people who, um, it's called riding the yin tiger. Your blood turns white. That's, there's Western, like I told you, St. Paul got his head cut off and he bled white. There's Western equivalents, and that is just so rare. Every stage you go up is even more rare than the one before. So I mean, it's a rough road, but it's possible. So if you're just starting out and you want to ascend, I mean, if this is something that's burning your mind up and your soul up, and this is all you want, like me, like since I was 10 years old, this is all I wanted. And you need those two things: intellectual honesty, and you got to take personal responsibility for yourself, and emptiness meditation. Everything falls into place. So I hope that helped people out. What is ascension? It's, oh, I probably didn't even explain where you go after ascension, did I? Right now, we have localized consciousness. I'm me, I'm in the woods, I'm going to school in 2 days, I will be taking a test next week, that kind of I, me, localized consciousness. When you become ascended, you attain non-localized attention, or non-localized attention. It's egocentric right now, allocentric afterward, and you can get brief periods of allocentric, that egoless, non-localized awareness here while you're here. But you can't maintain it. You just can't. You in order to survive in this world of materiality, you must be egocentric. You can only attain those allocentric, those non-localized moments for brief periods. That's it. We've got this meat brain that just can't do it. It's nothing wrong with us. It's just we can't do it. So when you ascend, you lose the meat sack that you're in, and you become non-localized. And it doesn't mean you disappear. You become, you just vanish. All your little brain particles go floating off into nothingness. You're just non-localized. You still exist as a entity. You are still you, but you're you on a much larger scale. You're one with everything. You're still you, but you're the real you. You're not your likes and dislikes. You're not your preferences. You're not your willpower. You're not your perceptions, your consciousness. You are everything, but you're still the you, the real you. That's what I want to put out there. You're not losing you. You're not losing yourself. You're becoming the true self. So you become non-localized, and that's ascension. And once you're ascended, most don't come back, but you can if you want. I mean, if you've got a tiny bit of unfinished business, you can pop back. Jesus ascended after he died, and then he came back for 40 days. A lot of people don't realize how that worked. Jesus was crucified, he died, he rose from the dead, he ascended to the Father, he came back. And for 40 days, he taught the apostles. And whenever he needed a body, he formed a body. That's the exact same thing with ascension. If once you ascend, you become non-localized, but you can also become embodied again. But once you're in that body, it's not like our meat sacks we're in now, for sure. I mean, it's a perfect body. It's a vibrating on such a high frequency, if that means anything. I don't know, but it's from what I can tell from the stuff I've read, and really advanced mystics I've talked to, it's a different kind of body. The Catholic Church actually calls it the glorified body. Because the Catholic Church has got a great mystical resource if you ever want to really get into this stuff, you can either read Buddhism, Taoism, or Roman Catholic Church. I mean, the glorified body, it's a perfect body. It can fly, it can't die, you can't kill it. You know, it's a pretty amazing descriptions that the Catholic Church talks about the glorified body with Ascension. I mean, this is the highest mystical state in the Catholic Church, just like it's the highest in Taoism. So anyway, I hope this helped you all out understanding exactly what Ascension is and how you do it. And I hope everybody out there keeps the faith, keep practicing Tai Chi, and thank you very much.